Governor Newsom visited an elementary school in Sonoma County this afternoon and talked about the ongoing efforts to reopen all of California's schools.
And let me just acknowledge the teachers. There's no greater messenger in terms of building trust that schools can safely reopen sustainably than one's own teacher. And so I just want to acknowledge the incredible work that's being done every single day, has been done over the course of the last school year by our teachers under challenging, incredibly difficult circumstances, and the work that now needs to be done as we get our kids back into school to work through this trauma, to work through this anxiety, to work through the emotional challenges. I can't even imagine, and Janice, principals here and others, what it must be like yesterday when kids were being dropped off, and parents probably had a lot of questions. And just that whole process of dropping off a kid, and then that experience and expression when the kid's back home. This is a challenging transition, but we're finally at that point. 9,000+ schools as of last month of our 11,000 schools in the state have firmly either reopened for in-person instruction or have announced a date for in-person instruction. Every single day, hundreds of schools are reopening. Proof point, San Diego this week. Proof point, San Francisco this week. Proof point, the largest school district in the state of California, second largest in America, Los Angeles, opening hundreds of schools in their communities. We can do this, and we must do it. And we must do it sustainably, and we must prepare now for full in-person instruction come this next school year. That's foundational, and that's principle. That said, in order to do that, we have to prove, not assert. Prove that we can safely do this, prove that we can continue the progress we made after we prioritized our teachers and classified employees to get vaccinated, that we finished that job, to prove, not just assert, that we can test our kids. That's why we provided 3 million antigen tests. That's why we partnered with our own state lab. No state in America doing more on the testing front than the state of California, with our own state lab, Valencia Labs, in partnership with our school system. We have teams of folks, strike teams, that are safety teams, that develop strategies and interventions and supports, technical and otherwise, both from the state and the county, as well as the local levels. Partnerships on issues related to outbreaks, new data requirements, more transparency, a new Safe Schools Hub. And I encourage you, all the parents, community leaders, those that want to know what's going on in their community, go to schools.covid19.ca.gov. Schools.covid19.ca.gov. That's the new Safe Schools Hub that provides real-time information about the status of your schools. More transparency, more accountability, more testing, more vaccinations, and more support. And I want to thank the Assembly member for his leadership. This legislature providing $6.6 billion to address the needs of intensifying our interventions, providing more tutoring, providing more supports, and providing the flexibility, recognizing one size does not fit all. The unique challenges in this particular school are distinctive from even other schools in the district. And so we wanted to provide that support and that flexibility, $6.6 billion to address those needs. Might be physical, might be PPE related, though we did provide 3 months, the state, of free PPE. But we might want to do more. We have the tools now, the technology, providing those Chromebooks. This school has already done that. And I want to applaud this school in particular for providing Chromebooks for every one of their kids. But we still have hotspot issues. We still have the quality download speed issues. So there's still work remaining there. Whatever the needs are, whatever those gaps are, we have provided that $6.6 billion to address those gaps, those needs, with the kind of flexibility that each school, not just each district and each county and each community in this state deserve. We also are providing a historic level of funding for K-12 education this year. Historic, without precedent, not only in the Prop 98 side, but an unprecedented amount of support from the federal government, including an additional $15.3 billion. $15.3 billion that comes from the $1.9 trillion new stimulus program. So the schools have never been more resourced, And with a resourceful mindset, we have the capacity to finish the job to get all of our kids safely back into in-person instruction at the same time, and I'll close with this, at the same time recognizing, as I began, I end, the unique challenge, particularly in our diverse communities, and let me be more specific, particularly in the Latino community in California, and those parents that have experienced the worst of this pandemic, and that unique trauma, and that unique anxiety as it relates to reopening schools presents a challenge, and we must acknowledge that, we must address that, and we must be sensitive to the needs of those parents in particular and those children in particular. And that's why we do provide an option for those children, for those parents, where we continue to provide that hybrid model or provide that instruction online and supports offline in order to give them the confidence to rebuild a framework of support for getting their kids back safely into school.